Alright, today we're going to get started with select statements in MySQL. Before we start writing statements, I'm going to be using the MySQL Workbench IDE, which is free from MySQL, and I'm also going to be using the free database World, which is also available from MySQL. I will try to have links to both in the description below. A select statement is how we're going to gather our data from our database or our table. So to get started, we're going to type out select and then asterisk. So select is how we're going to say that we're doing a select statement. The asterisk is going to mean that we're gathering all of the data from our table. Then we're going to type out from, and then we're going to say what database we're typing or we're gathering the data from, which for our example is world, and then we're going to say our table name, which is city. And you can see that the MySQL already knew what we were going to do. So we can put in a semicolon at the end, which is how we're going to end our statements, just like you would in Java. Alright, so if we run this query, we can see that we now have all of the data inside of our table. This is great, it's a good start. So let's say we only wanted the first 10 pieces of data. What we can do is we can type in the word limit, 10, and if we run this, we just have the first 10 pieces of data for our database or our table. So from this point, let's go ahead and start talking about how we can gather specific columns of data. So sometimes we don't want to grab the entire table. This one is rather small, but if you ever end up in the working world on databases, you're going to be dealing with very, very large tables and probably multiple of them at once. So let's say we just want specific columns. What we can do is I'm going to put out the table name. This is not required for this specific query. It's more important when you start doing joins in the future, but out of habit, this is something that I do. So then I have the column name and a comma because I'm going to be looking for 3 specific columns, the ID, the name, and the population. So let's get these in here. Okay, so I don't have a comma at the last one. You will have a comma for every column that is not your final column. So if we run this query, we now are only getting the ID, the name, and the population columns. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is a where statement. This will come into handy very, very, very frequently and will be in a vast majority of the queries you write in your work in the working world. So we're going to type in where, and then we're going to say a condition. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and look at the data points that have over a population of over 500,000. So we have our city.population greater than 500,000. So we run this query, we can see that we're only getting data points above 500,000. Now, we have the ability to also use less than, greater than equals, less than equals, and equals. If for any reason we need to do not equals, or not greater than 500,000, we would put the not in front of the entire statement. So if we run this query, we can see that we are now only getting the locations that have under a population of under 500,000. So the last part of this video I want to talk about is commenting your code. In the beginning, when you're writing these queries, it's going to be very, very beneficial for you to save them and to keep them well commented so that in the future you can use them as a resource. So we're just going to do 2 dash lines to comment our code. And now we can comment our code as you seem fit. So for this example of a query, I might say when population is less than or equals to 500,000. Alright, that's going to be the end of the video today. I'm going to try to have some other videos going more in depth about more complicated queries in the future. So stay tuned if that's something you're interested in. Thank you.